Kansas? When you picture it, you might imagine wide golden fields, quietly rolling hills, and big skies stretching forever. But beneath that familiar horizon lies something different. Hidden oddities, forgotten stories, places where you pull off the road and realize you've entered a different world. In this episode, we'll uncover 5 of the weirdest, most unexpected places in Kansas, each one stranger than the last. 1. Garden of Eden. Our journey begins in tiny Lucas, Kansas, population just a few hundred, yet it holds one of the most unusual places you'll ever step into, the Garden of Eden. Imagine a park-like yard filled with dozens of folk art statues, a 35-foot tower made from scrap metal and concrete, mosaics of broken glass glinting in sunlight, and all built by one man, S.P. Dinsmore, beginning in the early 1900s. This is not a typical roadside stop. It feels equal parts sculpture garden, roadside oddity, and slightly eerie vision. Figures of people, animals, abstract shapes created out of scrap and imagination stand quietly in the Kansas grass. Walking through the Garden of Eden, you feel like you've walked into someone's dream, someone who saw more than plain fields and decided to build his vision. Locals say Dinsmore intended the place as a comment on faith, politics, and the human condition. And perhaps he succeeded. If you thought a garden of giant scrap sculptures in central Kansas was strange, just wait until the next place, where you'll descend into the earth itself and discover a site that challenges everything you thought about the plains. 2. Monument Rocks. Now we head west, far west, out where the land seems flat, endless, unchanging. But here, rising out of the plains, are towering chalk formations that belong in another region entirely. At Monument Rocks, massive white chalk buttes and arches jut up from the ground, shadows stretching long in the afternoon light. The site is so unusual, it's been named one of the 8 Wonders of Kansas. Nearby, at Little Jerusalem Badlands State Park, narrow canyons of white chalk wind like miniature gulches in Kansas, so different from what most people expect. Standing amid those formations, you feel the world shift. You realize that Kansas wasn't always just prairie and wheat. Millions of years ago, this land was under a sea, and time left its mark in stone. The sun glows golden on the chalk, the wind whispers across ridges, and you walk slowly, wondering, how did these shapes happen? If you believed the weirdness would stop at concrete sculptures, the next place plunges you underground, and the story you'll hear there may turn your expectations upside down. 3. Sallie House. In the quietly historic town of Atchison, Kansas, sits a house you'll pass by without thinking, except the locals seldom do. They call it the Sallie House. This mid-1800s home, once used for medical purposes, carries the weight of legend. According to local tales, a young girl named Sally died here during an emergency surgery. Later, residents reported strange knocks, footsteps, lights flickering, even unseen scratches on skin. Walk inside, and you'll feel the hush of a place that remembers something. The floorboards creak in an unfamiliar rhythm. A room feels colder without a breeze. Photographs capture orbs of light. It's a house of half-glimpsed history and full-blown mystery. If strange sculptures and ghostly houses aren't enough, our next stop will take us from haunted halls into a forgotten innovation, a roadside marvel so large you'll need to stop your car just to see it. 4. Big Well Museum. Imagine walking to the edge of a well so deep you can't see the bottom in daylight. That's the Big Well, a hand-dug shaft over 109 feet deep using 109,000 bricks, dug by a few men in the 19th century. Located near Greensburg, the Big Well Museum invites you down a spiral staircase into the cool stone of the shaft. Down there, you can lean near the edge and drop a penny, and the echo from the deep well will answer. It's an oddity, not flashy, but profoundly odd. A reminder that even in flat Kansas there are deep places, unseen spaces carved by hands and time. You stand at the rim, sunlight high above, the thin stairway spirals down, and you feel a quiet awe. And the place we're heading to next? It's both massive and unexpected, something you'll see from the road and realize you've never seen anything quite like it. 5. Garden of Eden. Time for a twist. Kansas holds more than landscapes and wells. Let's circle back to the little town of Lucas once more for a different kind of wonder. The world's largest ball of twine. Yes, you heard that right. In Cawker City, Kansas, resides the gigantic ball of twine, made by community effort, hand-wound, and still growing. It sits in a small park, slightly absurd, utterly Kansas. Bill on the road, Twine. You walk up, your hand touches the twine's coarse surface, you look up, it towers. A monument to time, to community, to something that began small and became large simply because someone kept at it. It's both silly and meaningful, and it reminds us that weirdness often hides where we least expect it. If you thought giant sculptures, chalk buttes, haunted houses, and massive wells were enough, well, Kansas still had one more surprise. 5 places, 5 glimpses into the curious hidden heart of Kansas. They show us that behind wide plains and small towns, there's richness, mystery, history, wonder. So next time you find yourself driving through the Sunflower State, don't just watch the road, look a little closer, and remember, if this one surprised you, the next story might just blow your mind.